Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de the answer to one of the most common questions on FIRE, at least in the early stages, which is, what do you do when you've retired early? Rather, like really early. Won't you be bored? Well, I'm a subscriber of that only the boring are bored, so yeah, no. Let's go. Hey, XenPuck here. One of the weirdest criticisms that I've ever heard of really early retirement is probably stems from the regular concepts of retirement. That is, won't you be bored? Like, what would you do with your life? I've heard retired people die because they don't do anything, blah blah. This line of thinking. I mean, I can only imagine that these questions are asked coming from a place of love that are nourished by the standard society line of total BS. So today I'll counter the most common arguments, tell you a bit about what it's like to adjust to the new reality of not having to work for a living. Okay. Point number one. Research shows that retired people without something concrete to do are much less healthy. Blah, blah, blah. This is absolutely, utterly true. However, as with everything in life, context is actually everything, okay? Research like this are about old people, people who reach some level of government-mandated retirement age, which, by the way, was designed to be the age that shortly after you would die and stop being a burden on society. So yes, it's true, if you're 70-something and have nothing to take up your time after working the same job for decades and decades and decades and decades, like 50 years, you'd be much more likely to get depressed and die. But that is not at all relevant to anyone who aims to retire early. You know why? Because hopefully the whole point is to still have energy and health to do what you want in life. Whatever you want, right? And not having to worry about your bones or back seizing up or whatever that comes with the age of impending doom. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have some idea of what drives you to continue spending time on when you hit your financial independence goal, right? However, what I am saying is that having the flexibility to simply take time to think over what you'll do next is totally fine, because you'd still be young enough to do something that you're actually passionate about. Instead of what people in actual retirement age is faced with, which is basically just death. Okay, so do you want to be the guy who works and works and works and then die after you stop working? If yes, then go ahead and take the traditional retirement advice. Otherwise, live and be ready to have some actual fun while you still can. Okay. The second big question I get all the time: won't you miss the people, the community at work? You know, your coworkers and associated trade groups and whatnot. Here, I guess there is still a grain of truth, right? I loved my coworkers, or I wouldn't have stayed at some of my old jobs for as long as I did. Heck, my last boss is one of my best friends. And when I think about it, most of the people that I invited to my wedding are people I met, at work. So yes, in a country like the USA, work friends do become real friends, and community ideally can be a real thing, right? However, work isn't the only place to socialize either, and nor should it be. I know my wifey personally worries about when to leave her job because she thinks of her coworkers as some of her bestest friends as well, right? But I keep telling her, that's great. However, if your friends stop being your friends at work, your work friends stop being your real friends just because you leave the job, then are they really real friends to begin with, right? Again, I know in the US at least, we spend so much time at work, it's reasonable to make real human connections, right? But I think as human connections grow and fester, what happens is that it can become unencumbered by the actual work relation itself, right? So to me, the rebuttal to this idea is twofold, right? One, you can still keep your work friends even after you leave a job, right? I know I have, because I've had many jobs and maintained relationships after I left each one. And two, work shouldn't be your only source of socialization either, right? Because for most of us, work doesn't really define who we are. So in my early retirement, it's certainly possible to simply meet people through hobbies like pickleball, a sport that I literally just picked up a month ago. Because you know what? Most of us, we're not just our jobs, are we? Now, point number 3. Finally, I've read quite a bit about the comparisons of a regular schedule dictated by a regular job versus the void or nothingness that faces someone who's retired, as in, how do you fill your days when you don't have an employer? The implication here is that, you know, somebody to tell you what to do. Okay. This particular point I find the most absurd because right now, you know what I do? I wake up and I exercise on my own without someone driving me because I no longer dread my alarm clock every morning, okay? To be honest, most days I wake up before my alarm, okay? And I just get right up. My day being wide open is good. I also do actually set some very short outline on the schedule, such as write script for YouTube for an hour or two, or watch foreign language shows to keep up my foreign language, you know, abilities, right? Or run some errands or grocery shop that doubles as exercise because I walk instead of drive because I have the time. Most of this can happen before noon. And what do I do after noon? Maybe I indulge in my childhood delights of video games, or just take a nap, or 2. See how easy that is? And the best part is that I can change the order of these items or ignore them every day or whenever I want, right? Maybe this is because I was an operations guy when I had a real job. But to me, it's very easy to make up a schedule. The fun part is not having to stick to them if circumstances change, right? Anything I want, learning a new skill, practice speaking or listening to French, or even binge watching an old favorite like The Sopranos. Some of you might say, hey, how is that any different than people who are right now working from home and doing what I'm saying just on the side? I tell you, the difference is guilt, okay? Dude, I feel no guilt doing what I'm doing because I know in my heart I'm not on someone else's dime or time. No one else's except my own, and that is powerful. So what do you guys think you'd do if money wasn't a worry in your regular life, right? Look, I'm not saying I'm some rich guy who blows money on yachts or Air Jordans. Those things are completely irrelevant and stupid, by the way. But that kind of realization won't come to people until they've had some real life experiences for themselves. I've had those, and I've reached those for myself already, and that's why I am the happiest I've ever been. I'm not bored because I know there's a million things to learn, more than I can ever achieve in one lifetime. Life to me, again, is about overcoming obstacles, and when I say early retirement, I just mean early retirement from the work grind. I love learning and achieving things, and I'm going to keep doing that from now until the day I die, okay? What about you? What do you want to do that you can't yet due to real life challenges such as making money? Let me know in the comments below. Also subscribe and like and all that jazz. À la prochaine.